You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show at Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We do not have any new callers today, so let's get started with Benny.
Hey, Ryan, Ben here from Minnesota.
What's up?
I know I'm getting ahead of myself. This isn't about the Vikings game, and it's not about the Bears game. I was just thinking, let's just say Jeff Hafley does get hired away from us.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds that we could get Raheem Morris as our DC? Because I think he would be incredible. He's clearly good with cornerbacks. And the Green Bay Packers, I think, would be a highly sought-after job, just with
Micah,
Xavier McKinney, all the pieces we have. Micah Parsons. Right. I mean, what defensive coordinator wouldn't want Micah Parsons? Or would it be possible? I don't know if I would even want. What's his name? That idiot from Minnesota, that defensive coordinator. I bet he's going to get an offensive or head coaching job. But just I don't know. And this is a question for another time. It is just in my head right now. Go Pack, go. We're going to light up the Bears. I'm not even concerned. We're going to beat the absolute dog crap out of them. All right, go Pack, go. Bye.
I'm excited for that to come true. I agree. I think it's kind of a weird situation that we've gone from, please don't leave us whatever you do to, and I don't know. I like Hafley. I don't think I don't think he's a bad defensive coordinator. I don't know where I stand with him in terms of, in other words, there was a time when he was like the elite of the elite. There's no better defensive coordinator in the world. I don't know that I stand there anymore. But I think he does a really good job. But it's also interesting because it's one of those things, and I don't think Hafley's getting hired away at this point. Just kind of looking at the way things are going. I mean, the Giants, there's rumors that's like a done deal as far as who they're going to end up hiring, and it certainly is not Hafley, which was the big rumor that he was going to the Jets and not even necessarily that it was a guarantee he was going there, but that was like his preferred destination. And with that kind of off the market, potentially, it's not a he would leave at all costs kind of a gig thing. So. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where if he left, it wouldn't be as devastating. It would be, kind of like, oh, shucks, but man, there's some really good options out there. Again, I haven't, really dug a ton into it, a little bit. I mean, as far as like looking at people that have recently left, like Raheem Morris, I did talk about him yesterday, coincidentally, just because he was fired. But I didn't really dig into his tenure and all that kind of stuff. And I probably won't get in super deep on any of that unless and until somebody gets hired away. Just because I don't think, or if for some reason there are rumors that they might or will or something. I need something concrete before we just start digging. Because at this point, I really feel like everybody's coming back. We might be able to talk about some specific thing, maybe special teams coordinator. I do not think OC is leaving. I mean, for every reason. I mean, I think not only do I think that they like him, but I mean, the offense was good, so I just don't see any cause for getting rid of him. Even though, it's exciting to think of all the brilliant offensive minds that could potentially come to Green Bay. I don't think that that's going to be a thing. But even further down the line, you could certainly offensive line. I don't know that they feel the same way, but, it would certainly be interesting to look at some of the options, look at the teams that have really good offensive line play, see if you can poach some of those guys. I would be somewhat curious at what Detroit has going on, because obviously with the split up happening between Detroit, Chicago, and all that kind of stuff being poached in different directions, it's funny that Detroit is now looking to poach back from Chicago. Philadelphia, Baltimore, some of the more traditional, San Francisco, which is where Stenovich came from initially, who's a very good offensive line coach, and again, he will not be going backwards. Different places like that are very good at that. But yeah, as far as DC, it'll be a fun conversation if it happens, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, it's the Bears this weekend for the playoffs, and I am excited about it. I don't know that it's a runaway for the Packers, but I do think they have a great chance, and it's going to be a good battle, good matchup. I just wanted to also send some love out there for Daniel Whelan. I was actually thinking, man, maybe I should get a Daniel Whelan jersey, because that guy's a really freaking good punter.
Yeah.
And because he's a punter, he's kind of not talked about all that much, but let's just be grateful we have that guy, because he is dynamite. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the best punter in the football league right now. And yeah, so that's a plus. And I am just really eager to see how things go this weekend. I think the hardest thing is there's a lot of unknowns on our team because of all the injuries and because of all the swapping around, the new additions, especially on defense. I think on offense we have a pretty good idea of what we've got, but on defense we've got our new corner. We've got Colin Oliver, who's just activated, who flashed a little bit. And we also had some pretty nice defensive play on Sunday with our B team. And I'm just really hoping that after we got our tails whooped by Baltimore, that Hafley got in the room with those guys and said, look, guys, we got to get this figured out. And I think he's a good coach, so I think they will at least have some. I don't think they're going to get whooped like they did in Baltimore, against Baltimore. So, anyways, here's to hoping, and I think it's going to be a lot on Jordan Love's shoulders. Just can he access that super deep, dark place in his soul where the beast mode comes out. So I don't know. I'd like to know how you're feeling about their chances on Saturday against the Bears.
Well, I mean, I haven't really started digging into it a ton. I have to. What is today? Today's Wednesday, so the podcast tomorrow is Thursday. So yeah, we got to get rocking on that. There's not as much to do because it's a common opponent that we've already played twice, but we'll have to do updates and whatnot. But just in general, kind of trying to do some digging around in some statistical things. I've seen some other people pointing some things out. I mean, really kind of digging deep. None of it really is gonna. I shouldn't say none of it matters, but at the end of the day, we gotta just see what team shows up. But yeah, we got to get started on that. I don't have anything other than a gut feeling right now, and I'm really torn because the gut feeling kind of goes in two ways. I still believe with the injuries, the Packers are the better team. I also believe that the Packers have had a really serious problem with being motivated, and the Bears have not had that much of an issue. So, I mean, it really just comes down to if the Packers can dig deep and play 4 quarters of good football. It's not going to be easy because, again, I think they have some serious deficiencies with the injuries. The defensive tackle position, for sure. Corner is a bit of a question mark right now. I think we should be okay. We've had the same, there shouldn't be an issue with Valentine, Nixon, Bullard, but it's becoming an issue recently. And I don't know if that's because of the lack of pass rush that's causing extra strain, or what. But it's just not working as well as it has been. So we'll see if Diggs maybe is utilized, maybe over Valentine or something. I don't know how that's all going to play out. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to. I guess I'll just be honest. If you ask me today without digging into it, I am below 50%, but only slightly below 50% that we're going to win the game. It's 48-52. All right, let's take a break because we got a bunch of Nico coming up, and we'll be right back.
Brian, how the heck you doing? Nico. It is Monday morning. I'm just going to call this Victory Monday.
Okay.
Because, you know what? No, we didn't win yesterday, but for some reason, that was a fun game to watch. Don't know why. It's weird. All year, I've been having a hard time watching other games. I've watched a couple because, it's like a Sunday night or Monday night game, with, the Bears. I want to see how they look. But unfortunately, they won a lot of those, and so it made me angry. A lot of times I would finish watching them because it sucks watching your crappy rival get lucky every frickin' second.
Yeah.
But yesterday I had no problem watching other games, and I had nothing to do. It was a little rainy here. So I just kind of watched football all day. It was nice. And, but anyways, it's Victory Monday because, no, we didn't win, but we did officially make it to the playoffs. I guess technically it was the week before, but, you secure your playoff bout with a week to go, and then you lose Christian Watson on the last week. Your playoffs don't seem so good. So I'm actually excited about the playoffs. I know we looked like crap yesterday, but it was it was a bunch of people that basically, for all intents and purposes, were rookies that haven't played at all, or people whose names, they're throwing up names. I'm like, never heard of that guy. Oh, never heard of that guy. Who's this receiver with a hyphen in his name who caught 2 passes, like our best receiver yesterday? Should have ran the whole passing offense through him. Never heard of that guy. But it was an easy game to watch. It was also fun too because the Vikings looked so bad. McCarthy.
Oop, we lost you there. Wasn't even 3 minutes. Nico, what's up?
McCarthy seems a little special, not in a good way, if you know what I mean. The first few full season, we get Love went on that run. I felt, okay, I think he's at least good. I think the opposite of McCarthy. I think, like any bad quarterback, he can make the occasional good play. I can't believe it. But his bad is really bad, and just look at his face makes me think that he's not going to be in this league very long. But, yeah, and then look at those guys. It's funny, they were actually, I was going to say this about the playoffs. A lot of people are, he's the last seed. I don't care. Just making it, I think, with this fairly healthy team. I mean, let's face it. They didn't lose anybody this week. I'm not saying fairly healthy, but yes, it sucks to lose Parsons. But honestly, I would hate to have to choose, but if I had to choose to lose one, I'd rather lose Parsons than Watson. I know that's crazy. Because no matter what Parsons can do on defense, if our offense can't score 20 points, you're not going to make it through the playoffs.
Sure.
I think without Parsons, our defense can be serviceable, and our offense can shine with Watson. It's obviously a lot of stuff has to go our way. We've seen it not shine with Watson, but we've seen it really shine with him. So I'm not really scared of the Bears. I know they're flexing big time, but I know deep in their hearts they realize they lost to us the first time and really should have lost to us the second time. There's no home field advantage. That is Green Bay South. We all know that, you know. Well, I guess Green Bay did. Technically, Green Bay South themselves. So going in there, playing Chicago, and I get the Bears fans flexing online. I'm not arguing with them, because you know, hey, good on you. You guys finally won a division. It's only been since 2018, you know. And one guy was arguing with me about relevance because I'm like, I don't remember the last time the Bears were relevant. And he was like, only the division isn't relevant. It's like, well, I mean, yes, but no. We won the division a lot as Packer fans, or as fans of the Packers. And I don't really hold those division wins as high as I do the 2 Super Bowl wins I've seen. So yeah, no, winning the division isn't really being relevant. It means you're good, but how many teams win the division each year and don't win the Super Bowl? Well, 3. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean the fact that they did that for 1 year and went back to irrelevance, you know, that kind of hurts their case a little bit.
And I tell you what, if we can at least beat Chicago and then whoever we play with the next week lose, it'll be a bummer because it's never as cool to lose in playoffs, but knocking the Bears out of the playoffs will be awesome. Obviously, the caveat is if they knock us out, they'll be more boastful. The only cool thing about that is that, I mean, they literally think they're winning the Super Bowl. The delusion is real, you know, in this time and age. And so obviously when they don't win the Super Bowl, they will be crushed super bad. So, you know, it is what it is. And as far as the Vikings go, I tell you, there was some of them flexing online. Like, we finally beat the Packers. I'm like, yeah, you beat a team that they all had Packers jerseys on. Of course, you go to the comment section, it's 100% people saying, okay, even other Vikings fans going, bro, calm down. We beat a bunch of fit stringers, you know. Who's Clayton Toombs? Don't care. I will never see him in a Packers jersey again. I don't think so. I'm going to make a bold prediction. But, yeah, to flex on that when the only comment I did say to a guy, I said, hey, well, at least your future quarterback looks horrible because that dude isn't. And an interesting stat that happened yesterday, or that they mentioned yesterday, is that next year they're projected to be $30 million over the cap, and they're this bad. I'm like, wow, that's like a win. That's like 2 wins in a row for us, not for them. So way to go, Vikings, on being the NFC North Raiders. That's just great. So yeah, we'll hit this playoffs. And I'm not expecting, just like in 2010, I didn't expect much. I just want to have a fun, I'm taking my coffee here. I just want to have a great one game, and I'll be happy with it. Peace out.
Yeah, and I've already said, you know, I would be. Well,
I got a mobile order for Nico. Yeah.
All right, I won't subject you to the rest of that. Nico has trouble hanging up his phone sometimes. I've already said let me put it this way. It would take the sting out a lot if we lost after knocking the Bears out. And I can already hear Bears fans, well, it's your Super Bowl, it's your Super Bowl. Yeah, fine, that's our Super Bowl. What was yours? Losing to the Packers? Getting to the playoffs? Yeah, our Super Bowl was a win in the playoffs against a division rival. That's correct. And? And what? What has been your Super Bowl for the last 50 years? Well, you had one. The last 30 years. What was your Super Bowl? What was it? So, yeah, I don't care. That's not, it's, some of these insults are really bad at being insults. Wow, beating the Bears and then losing in the playoffs the next week is really your Super Bowl, bro. Yep. It was. It was pretty tasty. How did your Super Bowl go? Freaking idiot.
Brian, what's up, man? It is Kyle from Madison.
What's up, dude?
It is the next day. Great game last night. I'm sure you watched the Steelers-Ravens.
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't have been the only one who was watching Rodgers on the sideline and just getting flashbacks to, 2000.
That was, and I feel like I'm not alone in this. That was, as somebody who has said, I can't root for Rodgers while he's playing for another team. I'm excited to welcome him back as a Packer, but as long as you're out there winning for other teams, can't have it. That was the first time I was very much rooting for Rodgers. It just felt good. And even now, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because like we're both kind of in the underdog seat or whatever. I saw somebody post the, Packers Steelers Super Bowl is a Super Bowl everybody wants. Earlier this year, I was going to say that there was a time. I mean, it would have been earlier this year. That would have been one of the worst case scenarios. I don't want Rodgers. I don't want the risk of him winning a Super Bowl against us. Maybe it's just because we're such underdogs right now at this point that I would take it, but I kind of would like that. I kind of would. And it wouldn't, I don't know, the sting of him winning with somebody else and the implication that, your team just held him back or whatever. It doesn't feel as stingy right now, the thought of that. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not opposed to any other kind of Super Bowl either, but that would be kind of fun. Maybe. We'll see.
11 to, I don't know, was there 8 or 9 years, it seems like, where he would do the thing and then the defense would be out there failing or the special teams failing, and you get that same shot of Rodgers on the bench, just kind of helpless, having just seemingly won the game. I was really happy when they missed that kick.
Me too.
The prospect when faced with it of Rodgers being out.
Felt bad for the Ravens a little bit. I mean, that sucks, especially the kicker, but I was excited.
Maybe being done, I don't know. It actually was pretty upsetting to me. And thankfully, Tate was on his side. So that was kind of nice. I have a question for you, though, because I can't figure it out. I've yet to listen to your pod today, so maybe you are watching games simultaneously or whatever, like you usually do. But what in the hell was Philadelphia doing yesterday? Because I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to make that make sense to me, and I just can't, because they had everything to play for that number 2 seed still.
Yeah.
And then they've got like somebody McKee, I don't even know, like the most backup quarterback.
Well, I was confused because I didn't even know. I was looking at it, and I think it was even during the podcast I was making fun of them. I didn't even know that they had pulled their quarterback. I never would have even thought that. And so I think on the podcast I started like making fun of them, like, bro, you guys suck. How do you? And then I'm looking, I'm like, who the hell is that? So then I start going online. I'm like, is their quarterback hurt? What's going on? Can't find anything. Like, what? I was so confused why they had a backup quarterback in there. And the Bears lost. So they could have been the number 2 seed. I have no idea. I mean, again, as a person who is pro resting starters, not in that situation. I mean, maybe they don't care who they play, but you understand if you're the number 2 seed, you get to be at home at there's a higher percentage that you're at home, like all the time. As a 3 seed, you're going to be playing more difficult teams, and there's a higher likelihood of you being on the road. It's kind of a big deal. I have no idea. I don't know. That's weird.
Correct name ever. I can't remember that dude's name. And the game's there for them, and they would have had the 2nd seed, and they just, nope. They just got everybody rested. And I mean, I get the injury thing, but like, you play all
not
season,
in that situation.
You're trying to get,
right.
I mean, that is not an insignificant seeding.
Right.
Because I'm old enough to remember, I don't know, last year when freaking the Eagles are the 2 seed, and because the Lions lost, like, a huge reason, I think, that the Eagles won the Super Bowl is because they ended up freaking playing 3 home games.
Right.
I don't think they beat LA in LA with as close as that game was last year and as how much the cold played into it. So I just have no idea. Maybe you can make that make sense for me. Because I was trying to think, well, did they want the Packers? But then that doesn't make sense. Did they? Yeah, I cannot for life me make that make sense. with what they had on the line. So I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here, but that to me might have been the most shocking thing of the weekend. I got no idea. Anyway, we'll talk to you later, bud. Bye.
Well, I'm equally confused, and I think I would love to see them get punished for that. I mean, right off the bat, they got to play the 49ers. I mean, they're 4.5-point favorites, which kind of surprises me a little bit. But, I mean, I would think if you're an Eagles fan, especially considering the amount of success you've had against Green Bay, if you just played that game, you win, number one. Pretty much, I mean, they were very close to winning with a backup nobody quarterback in. You win that game if you play your starters. You would have been the number 2 seed at home against Green Bay. Green Bay has not been playing well. They're on a 4-game skid, and you kind of have their number. That's like a freaking auto win. And now you got San Francisco coming into your house. I don't know that they win that. Again, 4.5-point favorites is pretty strong. But I don't know, man. And I'll tell you right now, I'll be rooting hard for the 49ers, partially because of us. Not that the 49ers have. Well, they've less so had our number, especially once their elite dominant team has kind of started to fade. I don't know that it's quite as much our number as it is just them being better and more physical. But either way, I just want the Eagles out of the playoffs. I mean, we go to Seattle either way. I'm just saying, as far as which team I want out, Philly, they deserve to be punished for that nonsense. Plus, I just can't stand them. So I don't like the 49ers either, but I think the Eagles maybe have taken their place at this point. All right, let's take our final break, and we got a bunch of AA Ron coming up.
Hey, Ryan, it's AA Ron from Eau Claire. One thing that I really like about this current Packers regime is how Brian Gutekunst definitely just takes more chances on free agents and acquisitions outside of the draft than Ted Thompson did. Mm-hmm. I understand Ted Thompson's way of doing things was sort of like very, very thrifty, very savvy, very technically correct in terms of building through the draft and so on and so forth. And I still think that's the current Packers approach now when it comes to the draft. But then he would just basically abandon free agency altogether as if it really didn't make any difference. And we're seeing now that it makes a big difference. How bad would this Packers team be if he hadn't swung big and gotten Micah Parsons? I don't think we would be in the playoffs, although I could be wrong. But how about if he hadn't gotten Josh Jacobs? How about if he, we'll see what happens with Diggs. But again, if Diggs turns out to be pretty good, that's another, big swing. Well, really wasn't that big, but it's a swing you didn't have to take. It wasn't like a total, knockout of the park guaranteed, but as a player with some promise. So I'm really enjoying the fact that, when a problem arises on the team, they're not just saying, well, it'll be fine. They're actually going and dealing with it and addressing it and picking somebody up. And it's not always a perfect solution. That's just reality. But it's usually nice to know as a fan that, okay, he's doing something about it. And then the other thing is with the Bears game coming up this weekend, how do you feel about the matchup? I think it's going to be a tough game. I'm nervous that Caleb Williams will not get enough pressure on him or that he'll escape. And 1 second.
I mean, as far as a couple things on the GM thing, I do think Ted Thompson, I mean, it is kind of the Packer way to do the kind of things that Gutekunst has done. I think Gutekunst has been more aggressive. But like Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs, and Micah Parsons are all things that I think, maybe not all of them together. I don't know if he's that aggressive to do all of them, but they're all the kind of moves that I think have always made sense to the Packers. Very young, top of your game. Like those are the guys that should never hit the market, and if they do, you need to be at the front of the line to get them, especially Micah. I mean, that's the Reggie White pick, that's the Charles Woodson pick. You could even say the Julius Peppers kind of a move. I mean, he wasn't opposed to doing kind of the big thing. What he didn't really do was kind of like the mid things. And he didn't do a lot of big things either. It was once every 5 years or so, but sort of the mid-level, I don't know. I can't even necessarily say Rasul Douglas because he was not that good when we got him. You could say Zadarius and Preston and like that whole 2018 group. That was pretty different than Ted Thompson. These weren't like superstars, but they were, decent, solid role player types. I'll say the other thing too, although it seems like a positive because they've added a lot of value. You could argue that it's kind of a negative for Brian Gutekunst, the fact that we have to do these things. I think draft and develop is always going to be the most successful way to go about doing things. And if you're failing at draft and develop so that you need to go out and do these things, that's not great. Not that I'm not happy that we don't have these guys, but, a lot of teams have guys of this quality that they drafted, and we don't. So, I think we need to start seeing some more wins from Gutekunst and big wins. I mean, Van Ness is looking good, but he's not looking superstar good. Devontae Wyatt is looking good. He's looking like role player good, not elite superstar good. Edgerrin Cooper looked like he was going to be that guy, and now he looks like he's not going to be that guy. So, we cannot be a team that can't survive outside of free agency. It's impossible. Financially impossible. You cannot build a team through free agency. You can supplement a team through free agency, but you build a team through the draft. That's the only possible way to build a team. You build through the draft, you supplement through free agency. And if you can't do the first part of draft and develop, then you're not going to have a team. You're going to end up looking like the Vikings. You're going to end up looking like all these other teams that can't draft and, end up just spending a bunch of money on a few key players, but it's no good because you don't have a team. You have a few key players. Well, all the worst teams in football have a few key players. Of course they do, because they all have these top 10 picks and everything. So they've all got these elite pieces just strewn about. The best pass rusher in football is in Cleveland, and the Jets have these random elite pieces all over the place. And, the Raiders have an elite pass rusher, and, they have elite pieces. They don't have good football teams. So, on some level, you're going to have to be able to do that. And we're going to need to see some more of that, which is why I'm really hopeful that Morgan and Belton can become something, because if those are misses, I'm really concerned about the direction we're heading as a team that is primarily focused on draft and develop. But yes, I do think he is more aggressive, and I think that that's good because it's needed. And I think we got some other cool pieces that Gutekunst probably doesn't get. You asked me about the game. I know you said part 2, but there was a point that I didn't mention when I think it was Nico was talking. But the one thing that I do feel good about, I won't say confident about, but good about, is our offense against their defense. They have a bad defense. That is the case. That's always been the case. Even in these runs of them looking good or whatnot, you know, the defense might step up in the fourth quarter or something, but it's a bad defense. The Packers, as he was talking about Watson and whatnot, again, I don't know exactly what's going to show up, but this Packers team, even without Tucker, even with a questionable offensive line, if Jordan is playing good ball, and we have Reed and Dobbs and Watson and, whatever we can get from Golden and the tight ends and the rest, I mean, this should be a scary performance. And then it's just up to Jeff Hafley and the guys that we have. Can you hold this Bears offense down a little bit? I mean, I'm not expecting any kind of a blowout. The Packers don't generally blow teams out. Especially not, division rivals or whatnot. They're usually going to be kept kind of close. But, boy, it would be nice to kind of run up the score on this team a little bit, Just saying, if you want to, you have my blessing.
Part two. How do you feel about their matchups on defense versus their offense? And then, I don't know, for some reason, I don't know if you feel this way, but I always have this little insecurity about the Packers offense, even though they've been really good time and time again, for whatever reason. And maybe it's like Pavlov's experiment or whatever, where it's like every time they reach the playoffs, we've seen this big drop off in quality, and they just kind of melt. So year after year, I'm guessing as Packers fans, we're just conditioned at this point to just assume that that's going to happen every time. Where it's like, I remember the Cowboys game where Jordan Love just had an absolutely insane game. It was like, oh, really? Like that just happened? Okay. But then, of course, the next game they fell apart. So, I'm just really hoping that this team is locked in. I think in a lot of ways is how much do you trust the coaching? We know that LaFleur at least has good game plans a lot of the time. He's played the Bears well the last couple times, so no reason to believe any different. And we know Jeff Hafley has proven to be a good coach. And we had the bad game against the Ravens, but then yesterday I saw what could only be described as a really specific focus on attacking the run. Like I saw guys just running to break up the run game. So I'm assuming that after that horrible week against Baltimore, that Jeff Hafley just had a come to Jesus moment with his team and said, we got to get this fixed. And it seemed like they're working on that. So, anyways, whatever happens, I'm excited to watch. And how do you feel it's going to go?
Yeah, I mean, as far as how it's going to go, again, I'm not there yet. I don't even know the best path forward. It's going to be difficult to kind of pinpoint where the teams are right now. I do think there's probably, as far as how bad or whatever the Packers are, is probably going to be overstated. When you look at, for example, how close that Bears game was, calling that a loss is, I mean, that was a dominant performance by the Packers, and then they just collapsed at the end. We've also had injuries. We had a game where we benched our starters, injuries including our quarterback, and guys that we're going to have back that we didn't have in those games. So that, and then overstating the Bears, which maybe isn't going to be as much of a case considering they're on a bit of a losing streak here. But it'll be again. All I can really say is I believe the Packers are a better team, but I think the Bears are a more motivated team, and they're more likely to play at a higher percentage of their best than the Packers are. So I don't know where that leaves us exactly, I guess would be my thought right now.
So, Brian, Aaron from Eau Claire. I was just thinking about the playoffs this next couple weeks. And what I think is interesting is that in all the NFC teams, I truly believe that every single defense of all these teams has been exploited pretty handily in at least one or two games. The 49ers, they won against the Bears, but it was a high-scoring game. The Eagles have had a couple of meltdowns, I believe. Obviously, the Packers had their 40 against Dallas and 41 against the Ravens. The Rams have had a few clunkers on defense. The Seahawks, I'm not sure. I haven't followed them as closely in terms of like the scores, but maybe the Seahawks is the one that has been the most consistent. But all that to say that I believe our offense can take advantage of any of these teams, and the defense just needs to do enough, Now in the AFC, they have a few dominant defenses that have played lights out, especially Houston's. Denver's, although we scored some points on them, so. But I'm just hoping that we get to that point where we have to worry about the AFC representative in the Super Bowl. That'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, is there a team that you think is more scary than the rest from a defensive standpoint against our offense?
I just saw I forgot about this. Chicago Bears tight end Cole Kmet, quote, doesn't talk to his sister during Packers week, unquote, because she is dating Packers defensive lineman Lucas Van Ness. Man, he could say the worst things to him. I mean, they're family, so he probably won't, but you talk about a guy getting in somebody's head. The things you could say to him, that's not what your sister said last night. Oh, boy. Anywho, yeah, I mean, the Seahawks are a scary team. There's no question about that. I mean, they gave up 37 to the Rams and won in overtime, but that was the Rams. And they won. They're on a, 7-game win streak. They're a 14-win team. Let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They're 11-1 in their last 12. Their only loss coming to the Rams, who they beat the next time around. So, yeah, they seemingly have only lost to pretty good teams. They lost to the Bucs back on the 5th, back when the Bucs, I think, were a more serious playoff Super Bowl contender. They lost to the 49ers by 4 in week 1. That Tampa Bay loss was by 3. The Rams loss was by 3. So let's see, 3, 6, 10 points in total they've lost. They currently, via points, have the number 1 defense and the number 3 offense. I mean, the Seahawks are. I mean, it's. I mean, when we talk about beating the Bears and then losing the next week, it's not just negativity about the Packers. It's the fact that you got to face the Seahawks in Seattle, who have an offense that is significantly better than your defense, and a defense that is probably better than your offense. As much as I have faith in our offense and its ability to cut through even really good defenses, this is probably the best defense. So, and they gave up 37 to the Rams. The games surrounding that, 0 to the Vikings, 9 to the Falcons, 16 to the Colts, 10 to the Panthers, 3 to the 49ers. I think the only redeeming thing here is the fact that our offense resembles in some way the Rams. So hopefully we can do something with that. All right, I'm going to get out of here. You all have a good rest of your night. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.